Hello kids, we will see the last video of this chapter, Getting to Know Plants, chapter 7, Getting to Know Plants. Now this is the last video. In the previous videos you have studied about the different other parts of a plant. Today we will be studying about the flower. Okay, as you all know, flower is the most attractive part of a plant. Okay, we all like flowers very much. The first thing which strike on our eye when you see a plant is definitely the flower, the colorful flowers. And we all like flowers, we all like plants which are having so much colorful or attractive flowers, isn't it? So this flower, other than its attraction, other than its beauty, it's having so many mysterious parts inside it. So we will see about a flower today. We will study about a flower. So first we will see which are the different parts of a flower. Each and every plant, or almost all the plants, almost all the normal plants, in case of normal flowers, the plants will be having, the flower will be having 4 different parts. So every normal flower will be having 4 different parts. Okay, the first part of a flower is the green colored structure which you can see at the base. You call it as the sepal. Okay, the part of the flower which is green in color, it is seen at the base. You call it as the sepal. Sepal. So this is the first part of a flower. Okay, now what is the function of this sepal? The sepal is actually giving protection to a flower when the flower is inside a bud. Have you all seen bud? When the bud is very small, the bud is actually green in color, isn't it? Actually, the covering of the bud you can see, it is green in color. That is actually the sepal only. The sepal is protecting the flower inside the bud. Okay, now afterwards what will happen? When the flower comes out, the sepal will become the base of the flower. It will be green in color. Okay, next, the second part of the flower is the most attractive part. You call it as the petal. In most of the flowers, they are having beautiful colored petals. The color, the shape, the size, everything of petals will vary in different flowers. And it's the most attractive part of a plant. The petal is so attractive. How much attractive the petal is, that much other organisms will be attracted to a flower. Okay, the bees and all should come and sit on a flower so that pollination is done. The petal is the part which attracts the bees towards it. Okay, so the most attractive part of a plant is the petal. Okay children, now coming to the third part of a flower, it is the stamen. Stamen is the third part of a flower, number 3. And the last part of our flower is the pistil, number 4. So how many parts are there for a flower? Number 1, sepal, petal, then third one, the stamen, and number 4, the pistil. So there are 4 different parts for a flower. Now we are going to see about the stamen and pistil in detail. See the next slide. So we will see the structure of stamen and that of pistil or carpel. Carpel is otherwise called as pistil. So both are same children. So whichever name you write, carpel or pistil, both are the same. In your textbook you can either see pistil or somewhere you can see carpel. Anyway, you study whichever name you like, but both are the same, carpel and pistil. Clear? Okay. So now we will start with stamen first. A stamen is having 2 main parts. It's having a long tubular portion, you call it as the filament. And at the end of the filament you have a lobe-like structure, you call it as the anther. So how many parts are there for stamen? 2 parts. The first is the long filament. The second one is the anther at the tip of the filament. Okay, now inside the anther, if you open an anther, you can see that inside the anther there will be lots of pollen grains. So you can get pollen grains inside the anther. Lots of pollen grains, minute structures. Now you might have seen pollen grains, isn't it? Yellow colored dust powdery dust substance. When you go touch on some flowers, a yellow colored dust will be there on your hand, isn't it? That is the pollen grain. So where will the pollen grain be seen? Inside the anther. When the anther is mature, when the pollen grains are ready, when they are mature, the anther will break and the pollen grains will come out. The pollen grain will be either taken by a wind or by water, or some organisms like honeybee and all will come sit on a flower. The pollen grain will get attached onto their body. When this honeybee go and sit in another flower, or a butterfly, when it goes and sit on another flower, the pollen grain from the first flower will go and fall on the second flower. Okay, so these are the different parts of a stamen. A stamen is having a long filament and it is having an anther at the tip. Inside the anther there will be lots of pollen grains. Is that clear, children? Now we are going to study about the next part of a flower, that is the carpel or the pistil. Now stamen was having two parts, but this carpel or pistil is having three parts. What are the three parts of this carpel? The base is swollen. Can you see? The base of the carpel is swollen and you call the base as the ovary. So number 1 is ovary. The base swollen part of a pistil or carpel is called as the ovary. From the ovary starts a long tubular portion, you call it as the style. The tip of the style, you call it as the stigma. So how many parts are there? 3. The swollen base called as the ovary, the long tubular structure which arises from the ovary called as the style, the tip of the style is called as the stigma. It is actually on the stigma only the pollen grains will come and fall during pollination. Okay children, now if you cut open this ovary by using a blade or something, if you slowly open this ovary and see, inside the ovary you can get so many fine bead-like tiny structures. You call them as ovules. Ovules. Just as if there are pollen grains inside anther, there are ovules inside an ovary. Okay, so similar to the pollen grain inside an anther, you will get ovule inside an ovary. So is this clear? So how many parts are there for a flower? There are 4 different parts: sepal, petal, stamen and pistil or carpel. Then you have to study the parts of a stamen and parts of a pistil. Hope it was clear. Okay. Now we will see some varieties which you can see in different flowers. Okay. Just some extra things for you. See the first flower here given. See the sepal of this flower. The sepal is fused here. Can you see? The sepal is fused to form a tubular structure. Only the tip is free. Such petals, such sepals you will get in some flowers. They are called as fused sepals. Whereas in some flowers like rose and all, see, the sepals are free. Can you see here? They are free sepals. Got it? So some flowers will be having fused sepals and some flowers will be having such free sepals. Next, you can see variety in petals also. Some flowers will be having fused petals like this. See, the petal is forming a tube. Only the tip or the end of the petal is free. Okay, so it is a fused petal. Whereas some other petals, see this, they are free petals. So fused and free. Now see another condition. See in cases like this, have you seen this flower? It's an orchid. You know what is this? It's a tulip flower. Okay, in all these flowers, have you seen sepals below? Just see an orchid flower, just see the backside of an orchid flower beneath that. Can you see green colored sepals? No, you can't see. Why? Because in such flowers, the sepal and petal is fused together. They are not separated, they are fused. They are one single unit. Understood? So like this, you will get a variety of flowers where the sepals are free or fused. The petals are free or fused. Sometimes even the sepal and petal, even them, they may be fused. Okay, like this there are so many other flowers where the stamen will be free or fused. The pistil may be free or fused. Then there are still another variety of flowers where the stamen will be completely absent. In some flowers, the pistil will be absent, only stamen will be present. Like this, a variety of flowers you can see around you. So next time when you notice a flower, don't just see the beauty of a flower. Don't just observe the color of a flower. You go sit near the flower without plucking it. You just observe the flower. You can see the sepal, you can see the petal, you can see the stamen, you can see the carpel. Okay, everything. So, hope this video was clear, children. With this, we are coming to the end of our chapter 7. Okay, so study well, be safe at home. Okay, children, bye.